Take Stock in Children is a college scholarship and mentor program that helps students reach their greatest success. Take Stock in Children is a statewide program that has helped nearly 20,000 students attain the dream of a college education. We have a 96% success rate of students graduating high school, attending college, and entering the workforce. With that experience and the need for the information to reach our students, we wanted to share a program like this with our community. If you want to attend college, or if you want to help someone attend college, you are at the right place at the right time. So I thank you so much for being here today on a Saturday morning. We are very fortunate today to bring to you a great lineup of leaders in the college readiness, college admissions, and the financial aid fields. So today I'd like to introduce our guest speakers to you. We have Dr. Bonnie Jones, who is the Regional Vice Chancellor from USF Sarasota Manatee. Please stand, Bonnie. We have Robin Groel, who is the founder of College Counseling. She has 30 years' experience of college admissions work. Robin? We have Laura Tripp, who is the founder of Manateens. We have Bobby Kellman, who is the Princeton Review tutor. We also have a wonderful lineup of our workshop presenters that we'll introduce to you at that time, but they are leaders in our community and our public school district that will help guide you along this way. I'd also like to thank our seminar sponsors today. We have deep appreciation and gratitude to the following sponsors for investing the resources in this seminar and supporting our area college-bound students in reaching their dreams. College Counseling, the Kiwanis Club of Bradenton, the Manatee Community Foundation, the Manatee Education Foundation, Southern Association for College Admissions Counseling, and Take Stock in Children of Manatee County. We'd also like to thank the Atlanta Bread Company for sharing with us the refreshments for our guests, so please help yourself with those today. I'd also like to ask that you recycle the cans and the bottles in the container in the back, and a little bit of housekeeping as far as if anyone needs the restrooms. They're in the back alcove on each side of the room. So with that, let's get started, and I'm so proud to introduce to you again Bonnie Jones.
Good morning. I was so excited whenever Diana Dill asked me to come to this program. It was, about 3 or 4 months ago, because she asked me to speak on a topic that is so important to me, and it's probably my most favorite topic to speak on, which is the value of a college education. I am over all of the academic and student affairs programs at the University of South Florida, Sarasota, Manatee. And I'm standing here before you because of the value of a college education. But the story really isn't my story. The story is my dad's story. He was born in Pennsylvania to 2 parents who came over from Eastern Europe with very little education. He was one of 9 children. He was the only one who went to college, the only one, only he and his brother had finished high school. And he really valued education. He, his parents, with their limited education, they were still active in the community. My grandfather was a coal miner, so he lived a very rough life. And my dad's older brothers and sisters either were coal miners or were married to coal miners, and they died at a very young age. His younger brothers and sisters, who maybe didn't graduate from high school, they went on to work for, in Detroit for the car companies. And so even though they didn't have a high school education, they had that opportunity. My dad, when he graduated in 1942 from high school, of course, World War II was going on, and so he enlisted in the Navy. He thought he was going to be a coal miner too. But his Navy experience opened up that GI Bill where he was able to go to college. He became a high school teacher, And he coached every sport in the school in addition to teaching, and they saw really value in him, and they paid then for him to go on and get his master's degree. And we were young children at the time when he went in the summers, and we got to live on the college campus with him. One of the places was at Ohio State. We lived in the agricultural fraternity where my parents were the house parents that summer. So it was a really neat experience for me. It was probably almost automatic that all of us would go on to college. My brother and sister both went on to college. My sister's a nurse now in neonatal intensive care up at All Children's. My brother's an engineer, a project manager that goes all over the world for an oil company out of Houston. And then my dad had 5 grandchildren, all of whom have gone on. One of them went to Harvard, 2 of them are attorneys, one is going to be an optometrist, one is a professional musician out in Los Angeles, got his doctorate from the University of Southern California, and another one just graduated from FSU who plans to go into the weather business, maybe with hurricanes and things like that. So his legacy is really what maybe a lot of you will be starting with your families. The value of a college education is to you personally, it's to your family who you affect by your education, and it might be your brothers and sisters, it might be your children, but then it's also to the community. One of the things that we did at USF Sarasota Manatee last fall was to do a full study of what is the value of a college degree. And getting a bachelor's degree, what does that mean to you personally and to the community? And I do have this handout at the back if you want to pick it up that has some graphs and a lot more detail about the study. But let me just give you a couple highlights about this value. First of all, if you earn a bachelor's degree rather than just graduating from high school, if you earn a bachelor's degree, you are likely to earn $1.5 million more in your lifetime than someone who only has a high school education. So that's kind of the dollars and cents side of things. As far as unemployment, everybody's concerned about unemployment right now. You hear of college graduates having a very high unemployment rate. But in fact, even now, college graduates have half the unemployment rate that high school graduates have. So they are more likely to be in a job right now than the high school graduates. As far as staying competitive, by 2018, almost 2/3 of the new jobs will require a college education. And I think that really hits home for all of you because that's about the time you'll be out of high school, out of college, and you will need a college degree to be competitive. It will only get even more so as the years go by. A lot of the jobs like my aunts and uncles had here in the United States working for auto industries and corporations and all those things that didn't require high school or college education, those jobs have been shipped overseas. And so we really need a well-educated workforce here. And we really need them in Sarasota and Manatee counties too, because what a higher education means to our community, and this is all, studies that have been done nationally and locally. Students who graduate and get a college education are less likely to require public assistance, so that's an impact on the community. They generate more tax revenue because they have jobs, they have higher paying jobs, and so that gives a base for building roads, building schools. They vote more often. They have higher voting rates. They care about who their local and national office holders are, and they take advantage of that. And speaking with Manateens here, they are 42% of those with bachelor's degrees or higher volunteered for an organization compared with only 18% of those with a high school education. So more likely to give back to that community that you gained from. And then the last one is health statistics, which really surprised me, that college graduates are healthier, they're more likely to exercise, less likely to be obese, and less likely to smoke cigarettes. So, there are some really long-term health advantages even to a college education that I wasn't even thinking about in the process. Now, the Florida Board of Governors oversees all of the state universities in Florida, and right now there are 12 of those state universities. They have as one of their goals to increase the number of students graduating with bachelor's degrees here in Florida from 53,000 a year to 90,000 within the next 5 years. So it's, really to your advantage to be a part of that 90,000 as you move forward with your education. It becomes very important. Like I said, I would not be standing here in front of you had my dad not taken that first step and been the first in his family to go on to college. One of the things I should also mention is that USF Sarasota Manatee will, for the first time in our almost 35-year history, be accepting freshmen in the fall of 2013. I know a number of you are juniors or lower, so this may affect you, where students will be able to stay local to get a 4-year state university education. And we see ourselves as a community resource, not just a resource that will be, to have students all come to our campus. Maybe you're thinking of going to one of the Ivy Leagues or to one of the art schools out of state, and we will be happy to advise you on admissions in any way we can. We will be happy to advise you on financial aid. We do have our financial aid director here today, Gabriela Vega. Gabby, if you would stand, and she will be leading one of the discussion groups on financial aid. Even if you decide you don't want to go to USF Sarasota Manatee, I hope you will use us as a resource in the admissions process. It is something that can be, very, very scary. I had 3 children go on to college, and I had spent 26 years in admissions, and I was still scared going through the process. I already knew how to write essays. I had read hundreds and thousands of essays, but it was still kind of a frightening process when my own children went through it. But I want you to know that USF Sarasota Manatee is here to assist you in any way possible wherever you decide to go for your education. We do have, our campus is just straight down 41 here, a few miles across from the airport, and we do have an open house coming up next week on Wednesday, I believe it's June 27th, and on that day we would like to invite you to our campus to from 6 to 7:30 to be able to really see what all is there, to hear more in depth about the admissions process, the financial aid process, and maybe do we offer the kind of majors that you would be interested in. So please come down. If you are not able to come to that open house, I invite you at any time to call our admissions office, or you can even go online to make an appointment. Parents are welcome, siblings are welcome, grandparents are welcome to be able to see what our campus has to offer, and maybe start your college search with us, so when you go out and explore other campuses, you have kind of an idea of what questions to ask and what comparisons to draw. So with that, I will turn it back over to Diana. I wish you all the very best. Keep going, never give up. The students who do well aren't necessarily the smartest or the brightest, but they often are the hardest working. If they have to spend 3 hours studying for a test that somebody else only had to spend an hour for, it still really pays off in the long run. So good luck to all of you, and I hope to see you on our campus soon.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. We appreciate that insight. And now we'll move on with Robin Growell.
It's wonderful to look upon this group here. All of you have come here because you care about the future. And the future is much brighter with a college education. I say this to you because as I've worked with young people over the last couple of decades, I've noticed that the students who do pursue high school seriously are the ones that find the greatest success in their dreams at higher education. Currently, about 30% of students people over 25 in our country have a college degree, and that's an all-time high. But that does mean that the majority of adults, Americans, do not have a college degree. And as we look to the future, to the types of positions that are going to be out there, to the kinds of preparation that you need to be able to reach those things in life that you feel are important, both personally and professionally. They come with hard work and a goal to not only attend college, but to graduate, hopefully in 4 years, with attaining a college degree. Our program today is hopefully going to give you some very good tips as to how you can make your journey to college easier and successful. As many of you know, we have over 3,000 colleges in the United States, so there's a vast choice out there. And I think sometimes parents and students forget that there really are wonderful opportunities that may be beyond your neighborhood, perhaps the town, maybe even our state. And so by starting early, by looking within, to try to figure out a little bit about who you are as a person, where your talents lie, and where you hope to see your future going, you will be able to find institutions, colleges that will value you for your gifts, and therefore you'll be able to find, I think, a much happier experience in college. This morning I'm going to go through a PowerPoint presentation, and hopefully you all have received a packet. Okay, you may have come with a variety of different questions this morning. Where to apply? How do I apply and when? Will I be prepared and will I get in? What tests to take and when, and how to score my best? And how to pay for college. For many Americans, this is one of the first things they think about when they think about a college education. And we're going to talk a little bit about financial aid opportunities and how that works for getting the kinds of funds and support in order to pay and be able to attain college without going into overwhelming debt. The starting point is you. As a high school student, the more you learn about yourself and how you learn will help you find environments where you will succeed and thrive in college. Everyone learns differently. Your learning style has a lot to do with how you study and how you process information. Some of us are oral learners primarily, some visual learners, some are kinetic learners. Some folks really cannot study for any more than maybe 45 minutes at a time, and they know that they're best if they get up and they exercise a little bit or take a walk, get a snack, and then come back and start their studying again. If you're in high school, you already know what homework's all about, and homework is the key. It does a lot to help you create your ability to focus and to concentrate, and that is a key component to a successful college student. Most of you in high school should be studying anywhere between 2 and 3 hours a night during the school year. Freshmen probably not quite as much, but as you get to your sophomore and junior year and your courses start to become more rigorous, by reaching those AP, ACE, or IB courses, honors classes, you will find that there is a great deal of homework that comes along with that. Homework is more than just what you're assigned. It is daily review. This is particularly important for areas of math, for math, science, and foreign language. So that when your parents might check in with you every once in a while and say, hey, did you get your homework done? They're not just talking about the math problems that were assigned. They're also talking about reviewing those words that you learned in Spanish. They're also talking about doing a couple extra problems to review the new principles you learned in mathematics so that when you go back to class the next day, that you are fresh and you can remember what it is that you learned the day before. Or you may have some good questions to ask in class so that you can go over those principles that you weren't sure about. When are you at your happiest? People are different in terms of where they find their happiness factor. Some folks are just naturally intellectually curious. They just read extra things. They ask more questions. They take more courses in their areas of interest. It just comes naturally to them. Some of us are much more interested in giving back to others. They're really interested in community service and joining clubs and helping out. Others are very focused on athletic activities, and they enjoy the time that they spend with their coaches. Some are performing artists, and they find that's a very natural thing. They love to practice their instruments or play in a band. So everyone finds a natural inclination toward things. And finding your passion early in high school can really help you develop your story. It'll also help you look for colleges that have programs that will allow you to really explore those things in greater depth when you're in school. So how do you spend your free time? We just mentioned athletics, community service, the arts, leadership. Some of you have probably run for office for a student government position or within a club. Maybe some of you have even started a club. I know that that's something that Maniteens really encourages people to do, is to think about community service projects that you see are needed out there and create opportunities to make that happen. Colleges are looking for the same thing. They have a student body and hundreds of clubs on campus, and they're looking for people who are going to engage in those activities, and you need to be able to communicate that in your college application. There are two kind of buzzwords going on in campuses right now, and one's international awareness and the other is environmental awareness. We have lots of opportunities for environmental impact in our area. Being on the coast, it's a very fragile environment. There's lots of recycling efforts. There are many ways that young people can get engaged in things that are important to them, joining the conservation organization, the Audubon Society. There's some often clubs in schools that can allow students to really make a difference and a positive impact. International awareness, our world is growing smaller and smaller, and the internet has so much to do with that. So many international corporations, students are really encouraged to learn another language. Americans are probably way behind the 8 ball on that. It doesn't come naturally to us. Many of us speak English, and we find that much of the world speaks English too. But it's so important to be able to understand other cultures, and the best way to do that is to learn their language. I highly encourage you to consider taking foreign language all 4 years in high school if you can. Taking a personality test can help you understand yourself a little bit better too. And there's a free option for the Myers-Briggs for any student who has taken the PSAT. If you're a sophomore in the room, you've probably taken the PSAT because the state of Florida pays for it if you're in a public school. And it's a wonderful opportunity to go on and take the Aura Personality Profiler. It will give you lots of information about how you see the world, the kinds of areas that you find most comfortable, and when are you most likely outside your comfort zone. When are the times that you feel most challenged in terms of getting along with others or having others understand you? And understanding your personality type can really assist both your parents to get a chance to understand how to facilitate and support you as a person and how you feel most comfortable. There's also facts.org, and we do have a breakout speaker who will be talking specifically about how one can help determine better majors or possible careers for you in the future. Laura Roberts has come from Bayshore, and she's going to be leading that focus group. What am I looking for in a college? So once you have done the internal search and you have a sense as to where your talents are, where your passions are, what your interests are, how you learn best, you can then apply that to the kind of campus environment that's going to best suit you. We have colleges of all types in the United States, and many of those types are right here in Florida. New College, for instance, is kind of a unique school in our country, and it's right around the corner in Sarasota. It's a school that really values students who enjoy learning independently, who want to do focused and interdisciplinary studies, so that they will, by the time that they're a senior in school, in their last year, actually be writing a thesis, which is similar to a graduate level program. We also have schools that are huge. In fact, some of the largest institutions in the country are right here in Florida. And to attend a large school, you really have to have a good sense about who you are and how you learn, because you often are going to find yourself in large lecture hall environments. It might be a little bit more difficult to get to know your advisor, and to get the kind of focused attention you need to be able to create your four-year plan in college. So you need to be able to be assertive if you go to a large campus, so that you can go to the professors and get the answers to your questions. And if they're not there the first time, go back a second time or a third time or send an email. But it takes a person who is pretty confident in themselves to be able to get the types of information they need in a larger setting to be successful. Now, some folks really prefer to be a little bit more autonomous. They have actually found their high schools to be a bit small, and they're looking for environments where they're going to be able to branch out and be around lots of different people. They feel comfortable with that, and that's the kind of environment they seek. So location can make a difference. We have pretty mild weather here in Florida, and some folks may want to go someplace where there's a change of seasons. And so you may look at different parts of our country based on the climate. Some folks might want to be in the mountains, or they'd like to be closer to the shore. They might prefer a city environment, or maybe a smaller town where the campus is going to be more cohesive and more happening right on campus. Your major may have a criteria for you. If you're interested in engineering or architecture, those are specific programs that are not offered at all places. So that's one of the differences between a liberal arts college and a research institution or a larger institutions that offer majors in career-focused areas. Campus culture. This is one that's often, I think, overlooked, and it has a lot to do with the happiness factor. Campus culture is varied in our country. There are some campuses that are very diverse. University of Miami is one of the most diverse institutions in our country, with about 1/3 of the students being white and 2/3 coming from backgrounds of color and different cultures. So that it's a very pluralistic environment, and there are some folks who are really looking for that. There are some campuses that are very liberal, and I would probably put New College in that one. Liberal not only intellectually, but I would say they have a liberal social climate on campus as well. There are some campuses that are much more conservative. Many times those are religiously based institutions, and they have a Christian philosophy that is written right into their application. So knowing a little bit about who you are and how you think you learn best and where you feel most comfortable. Some people look for opportunities to meet people who are different than they are. They're looking for campuses that will offer them challenge to think critically about what their values are and being able to define those better by being in an environment where there's lots of different types of people. International students can often bring that to a campus. We're very fortunate to have one of the best higher educational at the undergraduate levels in the world. It's also the most diverse, being small, large, public, private, liberal, conservative, religiously affiliated. There's so many different opportunities. And one of the things that really differentiates American higher education is our student life component. Many colleges in our country have very, very active sports programs, and they bring a sense of community to the campus, which is unique in our culture. Some special programs to consider might be a fast-track medical program. There's some 7-year medical programs. I know USF does offer one of those at their Tampa campus. They tend to be highly selective, but they are a very good option for a student who wants to get started with her medical studies right from the start, and if you're a strong test taker. University of Miami is also another institution that offers that program. There are 3-2 programs. You can go to liberal arts college for a couple of years, for 3 years, and then transfer to another campus that might have the program you're looking for if you're interested in architecture or engineering. And you end up with 2 degrees. One from the first institution you started with. Let's say it might be a bachelor's in physics, and then your bachelor's from engineering would come from the school where you went to for the last 2 years, which might be Georgia Tech. Double majoring has become very popular in the country recently. Many, many colleges, as I go to visit, talk about the ease of double majoring today. And if you're interested in 2 possibly totally different areas and you'd like an opportunity to take extensive courses in both, a double major might be a good way to go. Athletics, we have Division I, II, and III campuses. Division I is very popular here in Florida, and Division I and II are the ones where scholarships for athletics can be offered. All 3 levels, though, are very competitive. And if you're a good athlete and you're truly interested in participating in sports in college, I would highly recommend that you consider Division III schools. Although you cannot get an athletic scholarship at a Division III school, you could get a merit scholarship. Many students that attend independent colleges, private colleges, go on merit scholarships, as well as need-based scholarships. And what the benefit of a Division III school is if you are an athlete and you start at a Division III school, and for whatever reason you decide to stop out, let's say to go for a study abroad program that might conflict with your season, or you might have an injury and you cannot continue to play, Or maybe your coach changes and you're no longer really as passionate about the sport as you were, and you decide not to play. You won't lose your merit scholarship at a Division III school. So I would encourage you to look a little broadly as you put your list together. And the cost. Merit scholarships are offered at most colleges across the country. And so as you put your college list together, you want to try to find campuses that you are likely to fall in the top quarter of their applicant pool. It's those students who are routinely offered the merit scholarships. University of Miami is another example of a school that has really increased its endowment to the point where they're able to offer substantial merit scholarships, quarter, half, three-quarter, and even full tuition scholarships for their students. And that coupled with meeting your need, if you have a demonstrated need in terms of cost, you can sometimes find that independent colleges, private colleges, will actually cost you less than an in-state school, a public college. So I encourage you to look beyond just the local schools, because you may find that the kind of financial support you're looking for could very well be outside that bubble. So creating your college list. The first thing I say is go see your guidance counselor. Guidance counselors in the state of Florida are very busy, and that's probably true across our country. We have a very high student counselor ratio, and our student load averages are upwards of 500 or more. So our school counselors work extremely hard, and they try to get to know the students. But the reality is individual work is very difficult for them. So this is the time to step up and meet them and make an appointment and stop in, and just even if it's just to say hi or to check your schedule, to let them know what your thoughts are about college. If you get a chance to visit some schools over the summer, when you meet with your school counselor in the fall, stop in and let them know what you saw, what you liked, what you're thinking about, and get their opinions. The more they know about who you are, the easier it is for them to serve as your advocate. We have academic and career advisors at many of our local schools, and funding has been a very difficult thing for our area to try to continue those positions in the schools. My understanding is that there is some funding set aside, and those folks will be back in some way into the public schools in our local area here in Manatee County. And they're wonderful resources, and many of them are with us today, and I'll be introducing them for our breakout speakers. Researching your college list. There's some great resources out there. Again, your school counselors, your advisors in your public schools are very, very helpful. There are some wonderful websites out. I will mention I have created a website. It's called collegecounseling.com. It has 2 L's in counseling, and I think you have that in your packet. It is a free informational resource. I update that monthly, and I have a blog on there with some articles about the college admissions process. So you may find that to be a helpful resource. The College Board and the ACT also have very good websites to look into colleges. There are also KPEX. There's several other. Princeton Review has an excellent website and a wonderful school a school search program. So you can put in different aspects of criteria that you're looking for and come up with a group of colleges that you may want to explore. There are also some subjective guides, and I think they're excellent. 2 that I use routinely are the FISC Guide and the Insider's Guide. These guidebooks are available in our local libraries. They're often on the shelves of our public schools, and they're also available by Amazon.com. You probably can get them for less than $10 if you buy a used copy. I would highly recommend that everyone in this room purchase either one or the other, or access them from the library. These give you 3 or 4 pages about what the campus climate is like, and it's a great way to open your mind as to what kind of campus might be best for you. USF, UF, FSU, UCF, New College, many of our local public colleges are in this book, but there's also state schools from around the country and independent colleges, all the Ivies, the little Ivies, Caltech, MIT, all these wonderful colleges are written up in a way that can really help you understand what it's like to be a student on that campus, the FISC Guide or the Insider's Guide. Another great resource for learning more about colleges is the college fairs. And in your packet, toward the end of your packet, you see a little yellow sheet. And it's advertising a fair that's going to be happening next Saturday. It's at Braden River Library. And it'll be a small fair. There may be 8 to 10 colleges. Most of them are local. But it's a great way to start to learn about schools. The financial aid and the admissions people will be there, and they'd be happy to answer your questions about the majors they offer, the climate on campus, the clubs they have, their scholarship opportunities, what it takes to get admitted. That is what they're here for, and there are local experts. And so these people are ready to help you learn a little bit more about yourself, their college, and also perhaps help point you your way to other schools that might be good fits for you. When you go to a college fair, a large fair will be coming up in October, and the date is for Manatee is on the top of the college fair piece. I know many of you. How many of you are from Sarasota County? Okay, we had quite a few sign up, and thank you for coming. I hope. How many of you have been to one of the college fairs in the fall that they have in October, either in Manatee or Sarasota County? They're excellent programs. They bring in over 100 colleges from all over the country. The Sarasota Fair is very well attended and is an excellent program too. I would kind of recommend that you might consider attending both. They don't always have the same colleges. So many of the colleges are overlapping, but there are some schools that will be down at the Sarasota Fair that are not represented up here at Manatee. So particularly if you're looking at some out-of-state schools, generally speaking, the Sarasota Fair is usually the day after the one we have here in Manatee County. Another fair to consider is done in the spring. It's usually at the end of February, the beginning of March, and it's the National Association for College Admissions Counseling's fair. It's held at the Tampa Convention Center, and it has over 400 colleges around the country that come to speak with you. They also have breakout sessions, and I've been a breakout speaker there, and there's several other folks that come and give talks about the different aspects of college admissions. A great free event. So when you're at a fair, you want to scope out your choices. Usually you can get the list of colleges in advance. You want to think of some good questions that pertain to your interest and ask the same question to a variety of different colleges so you can get a sense as to how they differ. You may want to ask questions about student life, academics, financial aid, and then after the fair, you want to take the pile of information that you have and try to go through it, I would recommend organizing it in 3 different piles. Yes pile, maybe pile, no pile. And you may want to do that to all of the emails from colleges that you'll be receiving as well. Set up folders in your email. Put yes, no, and maybe. You'll be covered up with information, and it can be overwhelming. But if you can try to organize it in a way that works for you, when you come down to actually narrowing down your college choices the summer before your senior year, you'll find accessing this information much easier if you've tried to manage it along the way. The PSAT is one of the ways that colleges find you. So once you take the PSAT in your sophomore year, if you happen to have the general criteria that the colleges are looking for, either a range of PSAT score or self-reported grades that you took, or perhaps you lived in a particular area, or that you have a major that they're looking to have students join to apply, that's how they find you. The other thing that all students should be thinking about doing, and I recommend starting as early as a sophomore, the summer before the junior year, sophomore year, the summer before your junior year, is to start visiting colleges. The best way to get a sense as to what kind of college campus is best for you is to start to visit different types of school. We're so fortunate. Within an hour range, we have different types of schools right here for you to look at. USF, up in Tampa, it's one of those largest schools in the country. That may be worth taking a look at, and it's only an hour away. They give tours every day. It is highly recommended that you contact the school in advance, and most universities now have it on their website. So you go to website, you look at admissions, and always you'll find campus visits. And you sign up for a time, and usually it's like 10 and 2 is their information session, followed by an hour campus tour at 11 and 3. Those are just some general times. You want to spend at least 2.5 hours on the campus. It's going to take probably about 45 minutes for their information session, and then probably an hour for the tour, sometimes a little longer. I know up at USF they have a separate tour for their residence campus. Definitely take a look at your residences. Many of you will decide to attend a school where you can live on campus. And in fact, the students who attend residential campuses are far more likely to graduate in 4 years. Commuting students often find that there are other distractions that keep them from focusing on their academics. They're usually part of a family environment, as well as oftentimes taking on working responsibilities. And it is possible, certainly, to do that. But you have to be very determined and organized. And oftentimes you'll find that your professors, because you're back home, are not as available as you might be if it was on a residential campus. Everyone's personal situation is different. For some of you, starting at the community college is the best avenue. For others, perhaps starting at a 4-year campus, but being a commuting student, now that we will have admission at USF right here in our own backyard. Others, it might be better to attend a small liberal arts college where you live on campus and you're part of a student body. That kind of supportive environment where things are going on the weekends, where you can go to lectures, where you can participate in games, when you can be a part of the club activities that are going on, that's the kind of environment that will nurture you, both intellectually, personally, and emotionally, so that you will have the kind of connections that will help you make it through 4 years of college at one place. Places that are nearby that you may want to look at are Eckerd College. It's right across the bridge over in St. Pete. Another would be maybe getting up to the Orlando area, where if you go look at University of Central Florida, you can also take a look at Florida Southern and Lakeland, or Rollins College in Winter Park, right there in the Orlando area. Stetson's not far away, up in DeLand. These colleges are within an hour or 2 of where we live. And getting out, taking a tour, listening to the information, and if you have an opportunity to interview with an admissions person, that's a great opportunity to learn more about the campus and ask specific questions about your concerns. Attend a class if you can, and that's particularly open to rising seniors. After a college visit, it's really good to write down your impressions. And also write a thank you note if you had an opportunity to meet with someone in the admissions office. That can be done by email, but have someone look it over because you want to make sure that you're using standard written English. Colleges and universities seek students who will not only succeed in their studies, but are going to join clubs, write for the school newspaper, play sports, participate in community service. They're looking for community citizens. And so high school is more than just a time to attend class. It is a time to get engaged. One of the concerns with our current generation is the computer has really captured you. Many of you feel very comfortable in front of a computer screen. Many of you have your cell phones at hand. And that is a very different environment, certainly, than I grew up or your parents grew up in. And so you are challenged by trying to monitor your time with electronics, because your ability to be able to communicate with each other one-on-one and with the adult world one-on-one is critical to your success, because it's those talents of communication that are going to see you through college and into your profession. So take time to be engaged, however that works for you, whether it's on the sports field, whether it's in the community service area, whether it's with your talent in music or in drama. Find your passion and start to engage in the opportunities that are here locally as church activities. Faith is such a big part of our culture, and there are opportunities in whatever faith you are to get engaged in that community too. 2 rules for college admissions. Take the most rigorous course schedule you can. If you're earning A's, then you need to step it up next year. Stepping it up means taking an extra AP course or looking into the ACE program, which is a relatively new program here, and it's going to be, it's at Palmetto High locally. And our ACE school in Sarasota is Sarasota High School. IB is another option that's very good for students who are interested in interdisciplinary learning and are interested in international relations, global awareness, independent research. It's a wonderful program. We have it at Southeast, and it's also down at Riverview. These programs are somewhat prescribed. They are extremely rigorous, and it does require time well outside the classroom to succeed there. Taking all 5 cores all 4 years is a general rule for selective college admission. What that means is 4 years of English, 4 years of social science, 4 years of mathematics, 4 years of science, lab science, and 4 years of foreign language. Probably the foreign language one is the one that many of our local students, they take those 2 years, which are required for our state system, and often drop it. But I can tell you, if you're looking at UF or FSU, UCF, or USF, they tend to be the more selective colleges within our Florida public system, and they will favor students who go beyond the minimum. And so consider taking the language the 3rd year or the 4th year if you can. And do as well as you can there. Remember, your GPA starts in grade 9. The next criteria for admission for many schools is testing. We do have a growing number of schools in the United States that are test optional. And if you're a student who feels shortchanged by testing, I would highly recommend that you consider a test optional admission school. You'll find them on fairtest.org. 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 There's a growing movement in our country to question whether truly the testing that students take is an accurate predictor of success in college. So if you feel that this may be you, you may want to check those schools out and maybe include 1 or 2 of them on your list. The reality is, though, that most schools and our state schools here in Florida do require the testing. Most state schools do, but not all. In Florida they do, but not around across our country. So if you're going to be taking the tests, your goal is to do your best. And the best way is to start in your freshman or sophomore year when the PSAT is offered. There are some schools that offer the plan, although that's not real popular here, but it's precursor to the ACT. Once you get your score from your PSAT, it's how you use it that will make the biggest difference in your impact of scoring your best your junior or senior year. There's a great program on the College Board website connected to the PSAT called Quick Start. And if you come to our next session, you can learn a little bit more about that. But it is free, and it is available to all students having taken the PSAT. My recommendation is to take your PSAT again in your junior year. That's a very important time to take it because that's when you might qualify for the National Merit Program that's only open to juniors. It's also a great practice for the SAT that most students take for the first time in the spring of their junior year. The ACT is another type of test that some students do better on. And again, if you come next time, Bobby will be able to tell you a little bit about the differences between the tests and the types of students that tend to do better on one than the other. AP exams are important. If you're taking those courses, you want to take the exams and you want to aim for a 3, 4, or 5. To do that, it does take extra work outside the classroom and sometimes seeking out a tutor to cover those materials that you feel that perhaps the class might not cover or what you may need a little extra help with. That can help with college admissions. The SAT subject tests are not required of any college here in the state of Florida, but they are required at some selective colleges. And they are 1-hour subject tests that are offered on the same date as the national test date. And the TOEFL is for students who speak English as a second language. Many times students who speak another language find that the ACT and SAT, they're sort of handicapped because their roots in understanding language is not English. For those students, I highly recommend taking the TOEFL. Choosing extracurricular activities that are important to you and sticking with them throughout your 4 years in high school is a great way to help differentiate yourself from the competition. Staying on track. In your packet, you'll find that there'll be a guideline, a timeline for freshmen, sophomore, and junior students. And some of that's written for parents too. So if you're a parent, you might want to take a look at that because that can help you stay on track as a student goes through their years in high school to make sure they're doing those things that will maximize their chances for admission. The school websites are excellent. Many of our public schools have fantastic resources right online, and I think they may be underutilized. So check your public school. Oftentimes they have all the programs that are coming up. Parent presentations, SAT prep programs are often mentioned there, the college fairs. And so you want to check out the websites of your schools and talk with college admissions and financial aid folks. Tips for parents. Visit the colleges and use your summers to do that. It's difficult to try sometimes get time off of school during the school year. And although summer's not ideal because the campuses aren't really in session, I do think it's a good time to explore the different types of schools that are out there. And then try to visit a campus if you can in the spring of your junior year, and maybe you might also visit campuses in the fall of your senior year if you can get a day off of school to get out to visit. Be aware of the testing costs. Now, if your family qualifies for free or reduced lunch, there are fee waivers for the PSAT, the ACT, and the SAT. Students can get 2 of the SAT and 2 for the ACT, so that the counselors at the schools are the ones that have those fee waivers, and you need to go in and ask early. So make yourself known in your guidance office, ask who is the person in your school that pinpoints the fee waivers, and let them know that you qualify and that you're interested in using one. It does take some time to register. You do it online, and you use your fee waiver to lock in that number so you do not have to pay for the tests. The tests are about $50 each time you take it. There are early registration deadlines, and in your packet you will see a number of when the tests are given and when the registration deadlines are. Generally speaking, I recommend taking the PSAT in their sophomore and junior year. And that's always in October. It's a school-based test. There is a fee to the PSAT in your junior year, but there are fee waivers available if you make yourself aware, if you get to see your counselor first thing in August when you return to school. And then the fee waivers for ACT and SAT, ACT, SAT, spring of junior year, and then I recommend possibly repeating one, if not both of those again in your senior year. Encourage your child to take the most rigorous courses as possible, and stay positive and encouraging. Some basic information about Florida Bright Futures. It is a changing program, and some of the funding is starting to be reduced in the last couple of years. Generally speaking, the top award, the academic award, you have to have 3.5 GPA, and the testing is mentioned there. For this year's seniors, or the seniors coming up, it'll be a 1270 on the SAT, 28 on the ACT. It's equivalent to about $3,200 a year, and that's taken off the tuition. The other level is medallion. That's the one that's a little bit more popular, and as you can see, that the testing requirement is not quite as rigorous, but you can notice that next year, if you're a junior this year, that ACT really jumps up on us. So that's a 26, and that's pretty high. That's about an 88th percentile. The 1170 is probably a little bit more, that's probably a little bit more possible for funding for those of you as seniors for the medallion. The medallion level is worth about $2,300 a year. Community service is a big part of Florida Bright Futures right now, and students need to have 100 or 75 hours, so I highly encourage you to use your summer to get out there and get some of those community service hours completed, and also make a difference in your community, which is really the most important part of serving. FAFSA form for parents. This is something that you complete in the student's senior year. It's done right after January 1st. It is free, it's available online, and there is a worksheet that is available through the schools and also online, so that you can get the materials together, the numbers together that you need. Generally, you have to have completed, but not necessarily submitted, your tax form. So that those of you that are seniors, and if your parents in the room and you have a senior child, you'll need to be getting your 2012 taxes together as quickly as you can after January 1st so that you can complete your 1040 forms. You do not have to have filed them, but you need to have the numbers so that you can input them into the FAFSA, which stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And there are several handouts about that in your packet as well. One of the best ways to try to figure out is what are the colleges going to ask us to come up with to contribute to my child's education, is to complete an estimated family contribution, an EFC. There are a number of different ways you can do that. One of the sites I like the best is the College Board website. And if you go on that, you can go to the estimated family contribution figure. It's a calculator, and they'll do it two different ways for you, the federal methodology as well as the institutional methodology. The reason why that's different is that many independent schools need to know a little bit more about your assets in order to get a fair and equitable calculation for what they think you would be able to afford to send your child to college for 1 year. So doing it both ways is very helpful, and that site will do that for you. It is free, it is confidential, and you can play with it a little bit by putting in a variety of different figures so that you can get a sense as to what it might be. Generally speaking, colleges believe that the funding for a student is the burden of the parents. So that as a parent, it is anticipated that you will participate in supporting your child's cost to college as best you can. Every family is different in terms of what their discretionary income is. Many families today have very little, if any, discretionary income and come up with an estimated family contribution of 0. I have worked with hundreds of families who have a 0 family contribution. And what that means is that when your child applies to college and is accepted, they will get a financial aid package that will qualify them for the federal aid programs that are available for families that demonstrate need, high need. And that's about $5,500 today for the Pell Grant program, as well as Stafford Loan, which is a very good loan program. It's a student loan program, and it is administered directly by the colleges. That is part of the financial aid package of most financial aid awards today. There are two different types of Stafford loans. They're subsidized, which is where the federal government picks up the interest while your child is in college, and 6 months after they've graduated. And many times those payments back on that loan are linked to your income, so that a student's income, so that they can pay those off in a reasonable fashion. It takes many students roughly 10 years to pay back their student loans. The average student debt in our country is $24,000 for a 4-year bachelor's degree. From my perspective, that is the best investment you will ever make in yourself. Most students today do need to take some loans out, but the Stafford Loan Program is the way to go. I would think very hard and fast before I would take out a private loan today. That is where oftentimes students find themselves overwhelmed with debt. $24,000 is a reasonable amount of money for many families for students to be able to contribute toward their education. And those are usually done directly through the school. There's subsidized and unsubsidized loan. Unsubsidized means that you pay the interest accrues during the time that you're in college. And right now it's a relatively low percentage rate. I think it's around 2.6. And there's been a lot of conversation in Congress as to whether or not they're going to be able to keep it at that point. But we're hopeful that those percentages will stay low so that students can afford to take out the loans and be able to pay them back in a reasonable fashion after graduation. And that's the last slide I have. So if we could put the lights back up. I think they're right over here. And we're also going to put the screen up. And Diana, the screen button is in the very back there. You've been a very attentive audience. I know we had our lights down for quite a while, so I'm glad to see that you're still with us. What we're going to do next is I'm going to introduce our breakout speakers, and they're each going to talk to you a little bit about what their session is going to be about. We do have a full house, and how we're going to do our breakouts is we're going to try to separate into 5 sort of general areas, and the speakers will point to the area where they're going to be. They're going to take their little marker, and they're going to put it on a table in their area. We're going to take a little break after they've each introduced themselves, and there will be some snacks in the back for those of you who would like to get another snack. And we're going to start off with Laura Tripp, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about Manateens.
Good morning. I'm from Manateens. My name is Laura Tripp. I am the Associate Director at the Volunteer Center of Manatee County, and one of our largest programs is the Manateen Club. We were founded in 1994. I'm one of the founding members, so I live, eat, and breathe this program because I know all the benefits it's brought me. I graduated from Manatee High School, so I'm local. I know a lot about what's happening community-wise. I'm not an expert on college planning, but I'm certainly an expert when it comes to your service component. Manateens, like I said, is a program of the Volunteer Center of Manatee County. We partner with about 650 local not-for-profit agencies, and those agencies call us, email us, stop by our office, and share upcoming service opportunities that they have a need for volunteers for, particularly teen volunteers. So what we do is we promote those service opportunities through an email that we send 2 to 3 times a week. One of the most important things through Manateens is that we're completely community service-based, we're completely community-based, and we don't charge a fee for being a member, and we certainly don't make anything mandatory. What we believe is once you join Manateens, you start getting our newsletters and our referrals, that you get to pick and choose the kind of service that you want to be involved in, and you get to create that service experience portfolio that you can share on your college applications. So we range from the ages of 8 to 21, and 8 to 21-year-olds, we help you document your service, we help you find service, and we promote those opportunities directly to you. We also have a family program and also a domestic Peace Corps program, which is locally known as AmeriCorps. So we just push a bunch of things to you. The one thing that we believe is you don't have to obsess about the number of service hours that you need. We like the idea of tricking you into it. So we help you find something that you're so passionate about and you have fun doing that you end up graduating with all the service hours that you need, and it's not something you have to obsess about or worry about so much. So we have a young lady who's graduated just this year with 8,000 service hours. So I know it's possible. Every summer, our goal is to give you something to get at least 300 service hours. So I post a lot of opportunities, and what you do is up to you. It's your business. But my goal is to make sure everybody has the opportunity to get 300 service hours, should you choose to. And throughout the year, my goal is 1,000 service hours. So that's my job, and that's what I do. I obsess about it. So I post as many things as possible. So what I'll be doing at our breakout session is just talking about local service opportunities, particularly this summer, and ways that you can get involved. So thank you. Oh. I think we're going to be right over here at this table, or in this area. So if anybody wants to come that way, I'd greatly appreciate it.
We're going to have 5 different groups, and so Manateens is going to be one. Each of you will be able to choose 2 of the 5 because we're going to have 2 different breakouts. Each one will take about 20 minutes. So you'll be able to have 20 minutes with one speaker, and then we'll switch around and you'll go off to your second breakout. Our next guest speaker is going to be Keenan Wooten, and Keenan is going to talk to you a little bit about guiding the college bound. This will be particularly helpful for parents.
Good morning. I am Keenan Wooten, currently career advisor at Southeast High School, and the other week I was appointed vice president of the Florida A&M University alumni chapter here locally, so I'm a busy man. But my breakout session will be dealing with guiding the college-bound student in high school. Oftentimes, parents, the only time they come out to the high schools is when they feel like their student is violated, or something is wrong, or something didn't go wrong right that day. But I'm here to tell you that you can come out every day, and just not when the bad things happen. In learning the different requirements that the state is constantly changing, learning about all the college opportunities, scholarship opportunities, and just know the rights that your student is entitled to secure their success in high school and getting to college. So my breakout session will be in the back, and we'll go over different resources and things that your student is supposed to be doing in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th grade, and different things that you as a parent need to focus on and look at to secure your students' success and getting them to the next level. So I'll be in the back, and we'll have a really, really good session. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Laura Roberts. Laura Roberts is going to come up and talk with you a little bit about careers and how one chooses a major in college and some of the great resources available online to all students. But Laura has been instrumental for having this happen because she helped write the grant for the Manatee Education Foundation. So thank you, Laura.
Good morning, students and families. Working and earning an income is a necessity of life. So why not find a career that fits your personality, your strengths, and one that you enjoy going to every day? In my breakout session, you're going to take a career interest inventory and see what career cluster you may want to explore. The state's 16 career clusters list jobs that have something in common. As we all know, education is very expensive. So if you already have an idea of the major that you would like to pursue, you'll save money in the long run. Students, by attending this seminar today, you're moving closer to the ultimate goal: going to college, graduating with a degree, and realizing your dream job. Thank you. If you'd like to join me, I'm going to be in that back corner over there.
Okay, our next breakout is going to be on financial aid, and we have two presenters that will be with that one, and I know that's a big concern for lots of folks. They'll talk a little bit about Florida Bright Futures, filling in the FAFSA, and lots of other ideas. The Director of Financial Aid from USF is going to start with that one. I don't know where she is. Here she is.
Thank you. I know that a lot of us parents are thinking about all these great colleges, but the cost of education, honestly, is very high, and we all want to know how are we going to pay for it. And today I'm going to give you some tips, some information, so that you know you're thinking ahead of time, how are you going to cover? Because a lot of us do not have that estimated family contribution that the government says that we need to have in order to help subsidize our students' education. So today I'm going to actually give you some tips on what's going to help you actually close that gap. Thank you.
We also have a breakout session on test prep, and that will be about Bobby Kelman from Princeton Review.
Good morning. As you heard, my name is Bobby Kelman. I'm with the Princeton Review. Princeton Review is a company that specializes in helping students prepare for standardized tests, PSAT, SAT, ACT, the SAT-2s if you have to take them for an out-of-state school, and grad school programs. They arrange classes privately. They arrange classes, private tutoring, and learn online. I was trying to get a back spot, but I think I lost it by the order of which I'm speaking. So I'll be, yeah, he said I did. I'll take 2 or 3 tables in the middle where that gentleman with the blue shirt is, if I can. There's a lady with a blue blouse, and I'm going to take those 2 tables. I'm going to give you some information today on what you should know about the 2 different tests, the SAT and the ACT. On my presentation on Tuesday night, I'll be more specific on the actual differences, but you'll get a good summary today of what the differences are and maybe which tests you might take. Thank you.
So they each have little signs, and they'll put signs around the tables where they're going to be, so you can find your breakout session after the break. We have 2 other speakers that will also be workshop speakers, and that's Linda Norris. Linda, could you wave your hand there? Linda's in the back. She is the College and Resource Specialist at Manatee High School. We are very fortunate to have Linda in our school systems here. She has a wonderful center, and if you are a Manatee High School student and you do not know this lady, this is someone you want to have as a very good friend. She has great resources in her office. She routinely has a large number of college admissions people who come through. She meets with them. She knows their programs. She's a great connector for you. So I'm going to just give that plug for Manatee High. And the other speaker that we have will be talking and sharing the Manateens and about volunteer services. And that's Michelle Tudoroff. And Michelle, she's up here in front. Michelle is from Lakewood Ranch High School, and she's and she has a wonderful program. I'm sure if you're from Lakewood Ranch, you have probably attended college and career fairs. She has lots of different programs that are going on in her office. And again, if you're from Lakewood Ranch and this is a new face for you, this is someone for you to know. So we've been so fortunate to have a number of speakers from around the area public schools, and I want to thank them publicly very much for taking the time to be here. Please thank them with a round of applause.
Every year.
Sometimes the parents, you don't know. I didn't go to college like my dad. He worked 6 8.
A or B, and every question in that section. What's important to know? Can I improve upon that?
Anyway, I wanted to open it up some questions. Our presenters are here and available to, and I think Linda wants to add a few comments. Linda, again, she is a College and Resource Specialist at Manatee High School.
Just real quick about financial aid, I just wanted you to know that at least in Manatee County, we do have a county-wide financial aid night. So it goes, and we spend the whole night just talking about financial aid. So today you heard kind of the overview, but just know that it's typically in the fall. I want to say like maybe around November, December, but be looking for that. It will be a county-wide night talking just about financial aid. So for those parents, especially that have students that are coming in as seniors, know that there will be some further information. And then they followed up this year. They actually had workshops. This year it was held at Palmetto High School, where they had experts on hand to help families complete the FAFSA. So there is help out there. You heard today the general overview. There will be a lot more information coming on that.
What other questions might we have? I'm hopeful that we have a number of questions, both from students and parents. What could we follow up on?
What is the percentage of students who apply for writing?
Okay, the question is, what percentage of students who actually apply for Florida Bright Futures receive it? To qualify for Florida Bright Futures, you do have to register. And I want to make sure, maybe Linda Norris can be looking over my shoulder here, that I think it really depends upon whether or not they register. Some students, my understanding is, don't bother to register for Florida Bright Futures because they do not feel that they will be, they qualify for it. You do have to have a 3.0 GPA, and those courses are specific courses. They will take the highest grade that you received. For instance, a student could easily take 4 years of science. but 4 years of science isn't required for Florida Bright Futures. I think it's either 2 or it's 3. So if you got a C, let's say, when you were a freshman in biology, they won't use that C. They'll use the 3 higher years of the semesters that you earned your best marks. So your school GPA and your Florida Bright Future GPA could easily be 2 different things. It could go up or it could go down. If you're a student in the arts, for instance, and you took a lot of arts classes and you're very talented in the arts, the Florida Bright Futures may not use all those arts credits that you did so well in. So that's part of it. In terms of a percentage, I don't know how many students actually go online. You can't go online until December 1st of the student's senior year. And it's a very quick, takes about 5 minutes for the students to complete the survey that's required to actually apply for the scholarship. And I'm going to turn this over for Linda because I think she may have some other pointers.
Yeah. Okay, so the information about Bright Futures is in your packet. The website you should go to look at the requirements. But if you register as a senior and you've met the requirements, you get the money. It's not a competition. It's not that they only pick so many students. So if you register your senior year and you've met the requirements, you will receive the funds. Now, it's only if you go to school in Florida, of course. So just be aware of that. The requirements do change year to year. It's governed by our state legislators. So look at the graduation year of your student. Make sure the student's on track to meet those requirements. It is, they only look at your academic classes, English, math, science, history, foreign language. You have to have at least 2 years of the same foreign language. So keep that in mind. Which one?
And also, Florida Bright Futures is nothing to play with. I had a student that dropped a class, dropped out of school, and that student had to pay that money back. And the state is really ramping up and making it tougher for you to take Bright Futures money and just kind of just drop out or maybe drop a class and they pay for it, then you got to pay that money back. So if you take that money, they're saying we want you to finish. Also, at my high school, a lot of students go off to private schools, and the funding going into a private school is going to be way different than going to a state school as far as Bright Futures is concerned. So the credit hours doesn't match up because that's a private institution versus going to a state institution. Bright Futures and my dealing with is more user-friendly at state schools. So just know that, but if you do decide to go to a private school in Florida, money will go there, but it might not be the money you're looking for. I had a student yesterday, and he had his award paper from, I think it was Stetson, and he's like, okay, they said I was going to get 100%, being that I had an IB diploma, but that 100% is for USF. Or Florida State or FAMU, and it won't be 100% at Stetson because that's a private school, but funds will go there. So just knowing that and navigating through the system will be very easy.
Thank you, Keenan. Another comment about independent schools in the state of Florida is, my understanding is that we still have the Florida Resident Assistance Grant. I have to check around because the funding is we never really know about funding, but the Florida Resident Assistance Grant is called by FRAG, is good for any student in the state of Florida who attends an accredited independent institution college. So that's an additional roughly $2,000 that goes with that supplements the Florida Bright Futures for private colleges. I saw another hand over here. Yeah? Okay, what about if you're going to use Florida Bright Futures for graduate programs, and it does not apply to graduate study? It's an undergraduate program only. The lottery.
But then how come they have so many changes when the lottery's at an all-time high? As far as, you know, I'm just saying.
Well, I do know one of the things that's happening is that there is a larger number of students going to college, and the cost of the state institutions is starting to go up, and that's been happening over the last 5 years. They were capped for a number of years like 5 or 6 or 7 years at the state institutions, and that was about $3,200, and it was the least expensive in-state tuition in the country. Right now, our tuition at our public institutions is the second least expensive in the country. So Florida in general is not necessarily funding higher education to the level that perhaps needs to happen. And they've been trying to, I think, increase it to try to make it a little bit more equitable. But the problem is the Florida Bright Futures monies, the lottery, can't keep up with the increased tuition charge. So I'm not trying to give any excuses for the legislation, but I think that that's part of the issue. And it's also the numbers of students. And that's why they're increasing and changing the qualifications to get in. And the testing is an issue, I think. One of the things that was required, and I think it was this year for the first time, were for students to release their FAFSA information to the Florida Bright Futures folks. And so you had to complete a FAFSA. So many of us have this feeling that one of the ways that they're going to try to preserve the levels of requirement so that it's not so incredibly high, that only the best test takers can get the money, is to include a need-based component. And I think that many of us I think that may be, if we have limited funds, that may be a reasonable consideration. But we don't know whether that's going to happen. Many area schools, I was a school counselor for 30 years. And I think that one of the challenges that we have as school counselors is that most of our area schools do offer programs. And we're trying to figure out when's the best time to reach our audience. We offer it in the afternoon, we offer it in the evening, we do it on the weekend. And oftentimes their schools are offering programs and we have very poor attendance. We realize that people have working schedules that fluctuate, and it's very difficult to fit it in amongst all the other activities that teenagers are engaged in. But trying to keep connected to your school and being an advocate for your student by getting to know the counselors in the school, and one of the best ways to do that is to attend their programs. Those parents that came, stopped into the guidance office when I was a guidance counselor, who attended the programs that we offered, who came to the college fair that we sponsored, those were the parents that I found that were most insightful and had great questions to ask. And in the long run, they were the best advocates for their child. So I encourage you as parents, and the fact that you've taken the time on a Saturday morning to come here, to keep an open mind, to try to figure out how you can help your child make their dream of attending college and graduating in 4 years a reality, is the best thing that you can do for a parent. Keep the conversation going. If you're a student in high school, realize that homework is a key component to success. And if you're having difficulty in the subject, and all of us have challenges at some time throughout high school, in whatever topic it is, go to guidance counselors, approach your teachers, ask your advisors, make a point of showing that you care about your education. One of the things that teachers are challenged with is that they often have teaching loads of 100 to 150 students. It's very difficult for them to deliver much information one-on-one, but they want to. And if you're willing to come in after school, before school, at lunchtime, send them an email. You will be surprised how responsive our dedicated teachers in Manatee and Sarasota County are. They care deeply about what they do. Teachers are not known for getting into what they do because of the money they make. It's the heart they bring to the job. And students sometimes forget that the teachers are often doing the best they can. Not everybody has a great day every day. But you can keep focused, recognizing that the grades are the ones you earn. They are not given out. They are earned. And that one of the challenges that colleges across our country are facing today is something called grade inflation. As I work with students one-on-one, I realize that there are so many students that are getting lots of great grades. And it's a real challenge, if you're a college admissions officer, to try to differentiate those students who are going to be most successful on your campus from those that may not. And so putting together your application by getting involved in community service, by talking to your teachers and your advisors, by coming to programs like this, by visiting colleges during the summer, will open doors for you and help you determine the direction that you really want to go. A college education is the most important investment that you make in yourself. It's worth your time and effort. I thank you very much for coming, and I thank our speakers for being here as well.
We're here with Dr. Bonnie Jones at the second annual free college counseling seminar at the Bradenton Kiwanis Club. And I'm here to share with you that, Bonnie, you just had a wonderful presentation to our community. Why would you say a program like this is so important to the members of our community?
This is very important to everyone in our community because it is going to be keeping our students here locally. The Florida Department of Education does a survey annually of high school seniors and asks them, what are your plans after high school graduation? They often say, I want a 4-year university education from a Florida university. Well, right now students from Sarasota, Manatee, and DeSoto counties have to leave this area in order to get that unless they go to New College, which is highly selective and maybe only takes about 20 of the students. But there are over 1,800 that say they want that 4-year state university experience. Keeping them here in the community keeps our community young, vibrant, alive. And so a program like this lets the students know what options they have and to work through that whole admissions process that can be very complex for students and families.
Absolutely. And we have some exciting news with USF Sarasota Manatee campus coming up. Tell us what's coming up in the next year or two.
Yes, we are very excited because we will be having students at the freshman and sophomore level for the first time in our almost 35-year history serving this area coming to our campus. And so the first class, the inaugural class of 100 students, will be selected for fall 2013. So the students who just finished their junior year, who are among this audience, will have that opportunity to apply to us and stay here locally if they choose a 4-year state university.
Wonderful. Well, USF Sarasota Manatee is a great resource for our community, and we thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Diana.
Hello, I'm here with Elaine Graham, who has been a wonderful mentor for Take Stock in Children for several years, and who's also a member of our Leadership Council. Elaine, could you share with folks the importance of mentoring?
I retired from education after 35 years and had heard about Take Stock but could not find the time to do it. So one of my first things upon retirement was contacting and signing up to be a mentor. One of the big success stories, I think, around Take Stock is the fact that there is a mentor, that there's someone who's guiding. We don't tutor, we just guide. We're that guide on the side and helping students know that there's someone watching, someone else who's just for whom they're accountable each week, because we do meet with them once a week. And it's just such a wonderful relationship that you build.
Well, that is wonderful, and our mentors have helped us to reach a 96% success rate for our students graduating high school, entering college, and then entering the workforce as well. With a seminar like today, the College Planning Seminar, what would you share with others as far as the information you received today? What would you say is the value of that information?
Well, I think for a mentor, it's that knowledge base that you get so that you can begin to talk college-ese, college verbiage with the mentors and the parents as you come into contact with them. And it's just, I needed this because I needed to know more in order to guide my rising seniors. That's who I'm mentoring this year, rising seniors. And this is a critical step toward that college. And I have two wonderful girls. One I'm a part-time mentor for, the other a full-time. And they are just absolutely wonderful. And I guess I want to make a pitch for, there are people who are going to see this and think, oh, this is really a fantastic program. Well, there's a place for you in this program, either as a mentor or perhaps as a financial supporter, because we need that. We turn away so many students because we just don't have the dollars to support them through Take Stock. So there's a place for you. Come on board.
Well, thank you so much, Elaine. We're so glad you came on board, and we would hope and invite you to join us as well. If you would like to mentor, please contact us, and if you'd like to support us, you can reach us in the Manatee County School District. Thank you so much. Hello, I'm here with George Hoskinson, who attended our college seminar today. George, why do you think this is important for a parent to attend this seminar?
Well, as a parent of a child, our first child who will be going to college in 2 years from now, there's so many things we didn't know about, and this really opened up our eyes to the different opportunities that to help us learn how to get our child into the school he wants to go to, and also financial aid issues that were brought up that we weren't aware of, and opportunities for scholarships and different types of things. So it's very helpful, and I've seen a lot of parents here who are really paying close attention and taking lots of notes, which indicates to me that they didn't know a lot of the things that are being shared today too.
Great. So would you recommend this to other folks in our community?
Absolutely. I think the opportunities that it presents to the community is there's all these resources available that aren't readily perhaps shared with everyone, but this here does that, and so there's a lot of opportunities to learn about those things for everybody.
Wonderful. Well, we're glad you joined us today, George, and we hope that others will join us again. We have another seminar on Tuesday and Thursday of this week, and you can always contact the Take Stock in Children office if you need additional information. Thank you. Hello, I'm here with Bill Paddleford with the Bradenton Kiwanis Club, and I just want to ask you why you think this is so important to host something like this, and of course I want to send our gratitude to you and all the Bradenton Kiwanis members for allowing us to have this here. So thank you so much. But why is this important for our community?
I think students don't have a concept on how many choices they have for college, the fact that it takes a lot of work to get into a college, and more importantly to finance it and not end up owing for years and years on it.
Absolutely. And did you find the information today valuable?
Oh, it's very good. I'm so happy my son went. Again, I just don't think he has any idea what's involved, and I understand that this is going to happen again perhaps on METV so the general population who couldn't make it here can view it, and MET is a wonderful asset to our community.
Here with Laura Tripp, who started the Manateens program here in Manatee County, and we want to ask you, Laura, what is so valuable about volunteering in our community?
I think volunteering, it's very valuable in our community, not only to the student, but to the local agencies in our community. Especially today, agencies need volunteers more than ever, and young people become advocates of that agency should they choose to volunteer for them, and that's what the agency wants. It promotes community involvement, and those teens turn into business owners, which then turn into contributors. So it's a wonderful opportunity for teens to learn about local missions of agencies and to get involved and identify what they're interested in.
Absolutely, and it's a critical part for bright futures. Students need to have 75, maybe to 100 hours of volunteer service. We have our key clubs right in the high schools with the Kiwanis, so that's wonderful. Can you give us other ideas of how students may get their volunteer hours?
Through Manateens, one of the things that we promote mostly is volunteering episodically with local events and charities and programs that happen one-day events. But the summer is the best part because summer has so many long-term opportunities, and we let our Manateens know that 2 to 3 times a week through a weekly email that we send out to our young people.
Wonderful. Well, you're providing a great service for our community, and our volunteers are really making a difference. So thank you so much. I'd like to thank all of our sponsors for helping us today, the College Counseling, the Manatee Education Foundation, and the Bradenton Kiwanis Club for hosting our event. I'd like to have a special thanks for our parents and our students and our mentors who came out to learn this very valuable information in taking stock in our children for our future. I'm Diana Dill with Take Stock in Children. Thank you.